Hello everybody, it is still total chaos here. Why would somebody run a 50K the week before a 250 miler, right? Like, why would somebody do that? And the only answer to that I could even give you that makes any sense at all is that forget the PR as a 50K where it's always been tradition for Lee to rent the giant cabin at the park and for everybody to run it. And then it was canceled for a couple years because of COVID, and so she was super excited that it was coming back, but then it was conflicting with Cocodona, or just missing conflicting. I mean, technically conflicting because it's during Cocodona taper, but in the name of tradition, we're doing it, I guess. So if anybody's at Mohican this weekend, we have the giant party cabin. It's bedtime early tonight, 50K tomorrow, party cabin tomorrow night, and you're pretty much invited. Stop by if you're at Mohican. But that is why we are planning for both a 50K at the same time that we are this close to Mohican, and then I'm out of town to see my kids next week, and then we go, or not Mohican, the Cocodona, and then we go right to that. But anyway, as I was getting my stuff ready here, the last of it packed, because we're probably leaving in like 2 hours here, I was reminded of something that I did not get to share with you guys yet. I had written up my Run Love It race report. It's pretty much completely written up, but then things got so busy that I never finished the last paragraph and posted it, so maybe I should just post it how it is because it was written up. But you may recall in February we ran 2 races 12 days apart, Outlaw and Run Love It 100. And I was going for the 135 during Outlaw, and it was really weird. I had some serious issues, like starting at like 6 p.m. on day 1, I got super sleepy, which like never happens to me. And I was taking salt pills, because other things were going on too. I was so cold. It was so freaking cold, and I couldn't get warm, but I was wearing what I always wear. Like, I was wearing what I wore for Outlaw the year before in single-digit temperatures, but it was, like, in the 20s, so it didn't make sense that I was so cold. I kept taking more salt pills, and then after I was taking that many salt pills, and I was still just so shaky and shivery, and so freaking tired, and just not feeling right all around, and dry heaving, and just no energy, just terrible race going on. I was like, well, maybe I'm taking too much salt, and I stopped taking salt, which was really not the thing to do. Quick recap for those of you who missed it, though I gave WHMP an interview that night with Amy once I finished the 100-mile finish line. I didn't get 135 for that race. I ended up dropping to the 100-miler distance. But quick recap is this happened starting at 6 p.m., got super shaky, super shivery, super tired, and that continued. And then finally, sometime after midnight, I was just so cold and so tired. It was a loop course, so when I got to the start-finish to finish a loop, I went into the bathroom facilities. It's like camp bathrooms, kind of. I went in there because it was the warmest place I could think of. It was a heated bathroom. And I was laying on the bench just shivering. And even though they had the heat turned up in there, I was still just shivering. And I looked over at the shower and I was like, maybe I could get hot in the shower. Like, I just need to get warm. And so I get in the shower and I was just like, I ended up dragging a chair in the shower. And I'm just like lying fetal on this chair in the shower, just letting the hot water hit me. I was probably in there, no joke, for like an hour, like going in and out of consciousness when I hear these voices. And just out of like, sheer coincidence, I recognize these voices. It happens to be Deidre and Lee. So I'm like, Lee, is that you? And she's like, is that you? Are you in the shower? And I'm like, yeah. And the shower curtain opens and she peeks her head in and she looks down at me and I'm just there lying naked looking up and I'm like, my race went south. And she's like, I can see that. Like, what the hell's going on? So she's like, how are you going to get out of here? Do you have a towel or anything? I'm like, no towel. I don't know. Just totally out of it, right? So Lee went on racing and Deidre got me some clothes to use as towels to dry off with, and I put my race clothes on, And I got back out there, right? And then it was actually still a lot tired, a lot of cold. I'm peeing a lot too. That was the other symptom I had. I was peeing like non-stop, which was, again, part of why I started to think, well, maybe I had too much salt. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Finally, the next day, Lee finished her race, and I saw her at the start finish, and she's like, you need salt. She's just looking at me, and she's like, you need salt. You're way, way behind on salt. And she like starts just dumping salt into Coke. And in the meantime, I'm like dumping out a drop bag of mine so I could puke in it. Like, it was terrible. It was a disaster. But she's dumping all this salt and Coke, and I take a sip, and I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm like chugging the salt with Coke. And then I went and I did like my best. I only had one loop left to finish the 100 at that point. So it's a 7-mile loop. And that was like the best I had felt in like so long. It was an amazing loop. It went very well. Unfortunately, I was out of time at that point to get 35 more miles in. But at that point, I felt like I could go 35 more miles. So that happened at Outlaw. And it was really confusing. I get that I stopped taking salt, like I misread the symptoms and I stopped taking salt when I shouldn't have. But what was really confusing to me was how I got so behind on salt to begin with. Like, that really kind of threw me off because I've never had that issue before, and I was pretty much just sticking with my normal routine at that point, which is just the S caps, right? So then, fast forward to 12 days later, we're doing Run Love It 100, right? And for Run Love It, I decide that I'm going to be biting in. Like, one of the things, Lee had said is like, yeah, the salt, the S caps, they don't absorb fast enough, and they're kind of useless if you're already behind because they're not absorbing well. So you need something that's going to dissolve in your mouth quickly. So for that, I was using a lot of the Himalayan pink salt dissolving in my mouth. But when I got low on that, I had my S caps still. And so I took an S cap out, or what I thought was an S cap, and I bite it, and I'm like, what the hell? This is a dud. And I flick it, and then I take another one, and I bite it, and it's fine. And so I go another hour, and it's time for another one, and I bite it, and I'm like, this is not salt. What the hell is this? So I flick it, and I grab another one, and I bite that one, and that one is not salt either. I'm like, what is going on? And then right then, everything of the last couple weeks, this race and that race, like, it just all clicks in my head. So I show you something here. Here is the typical snack bag I use to keep salt, Tums, other things with. Sometimes for like long runs, sometimes it'll just have salt in it. And here you have a salt pill, right? But here's the thing. I also take this, it's a natural supplement. It's no crazy medication or anything. It's a natural supplement that helps kind of lower anxiety and calm you down before you sleep. And I decided to take that, I'd start taking it to work with me so that I'd be sleeping better. And I also used Exhibit A type salt bag, right? And I just filled that up with a bunch of these pills. These are those. So, salt pill, my help you sleep. Let's get a close up here. Hold on, it's coming. It's stuck in there. It doesn't want to come out. Okay. This is my calm me down, help me sleep, get cozy supplement, and this is a salt pill. And so one of us found a bag just like this that we keep salt pills in, just filled with these, and put it over here in the race station. And so when Lee was preparing my Outlaw bag, she just grabbed that, stuck some Tums in it, stuck some Gin-Gins in there, and it was good to go. So for Outlaw, it turns out that what happened the whole freaking time is I wasn't taking any salt. I was taking it sometimes 2 by 2 these supplements to calm me down and make me sleepy, which explains why I get so sleepy at 6 p.m. Fortunately, I did not swallow any of these for Run Love It because I was biting into all of them and I realized that something was up, but that's where it all clicked. So I just thought about this story again because I am packing these to to take with me out of town. And I have now labeled in Sharpie, not salt. So this might be good for anyone out there who needs to hear this. If you are taking pills of any kind, even natural supplements, out of bottles and sticking them in little snacky bags, label your bags, because that was a disaster. You can't even make this stuff up. So anyway, I hope you learned from this story, and I hope you're entertained thoroughly by this story. So yeah, outlaw taking anti-anxiety sleep supplements, and then run love it, my shoes break open. So who knows what's going to be on next episode of Disaster Racing, but we're rolling with it at this point.